It is 808 Stay in Pacific 707. We know him as a quiet genius from one of the all-time great Manchester bands. He's giggling. 808 State's Graham Massey reforming some of his old sounds, producing new stuff at Mondo Mancunia over the next few days. Yeah. And we weren't going to let him get away without a visit, so welcome to 6Music.
Thank you for having me.
It's very nice to have you here. Now, did you record loads of versions of Pacific, just with different, kind of numbered differently in terms of the mixes, or...?
Yeah, that's right. You know, I mean, it was like the dawn of remix culture back then, so, yeah, I think we did about 4 when we originally did the first one.
Yeah.
And then there's probably, I mean, if you counted them up now, the amount of mixes, illegal ones and bootlegs and all kinds of things, probably about 4,000 now.
Yeah, there's hundreds. Well, listen, we'll come on to the re-released albums in just a second, but billed as Manchester Underground Sounds, 78 to 2008, how did Mondo Mancunia come together?
Well, we used to run a club in Manchester called Toolshed, a famous place called the Band on the Wall, which is a very musicianly centred place. All the jazz people used to go and play there. And we used to do an electronic night there, and we used to have guests and a house band. And the idea was that, you know, it was a family of musicians and you could add onto it, and it encompassed, it put people in different contexts, Manchester musicians in different contexts.
You'd hear them play with one band and then maybe with somebody else.
And the guy that used to run that is now running a place under London Bridge Station called Shunt, which is like some big arches under London Bridge. It's a theatre company.
Oh, okay.
And he's asked me to curate a whole week there of Manchester music, and because we all still play together, it is like a family of musicians that dates back to the 70s even. Some of the people I still play with, I was playing with in a band called Biting Tongues on Factory Records.
Well, this is it. You're going to, I mean, Factory's Biting Tongues are going to be on. So they were, was that your first band, or your first outing on a label?
Yeah,
pretty much.
That's right.
And were they sort of a precursor to the sound of 808 State, or were they
I mean,
different?
Biting Tongues were a bit like a university to me. I learned everything about music in Biting Tongues and then applied it in 808 State. So, yeah, I think they're very related. You know, it's all very experimental music that we came from, and it was useful to have that background when, you know, doing new music in the late 80s. You know, you just applied everything to that energy at that time. You know?
And Factory was quite like a family, actually. You'd sort of been brought up in that kind of, you know, atmosphere, I guess.
I think most Manchester bands rarely played outside Manchester back in the 70s and early 80s. You know, it was very hard to get. It's a lot more international now. You can, there's a network of things to get out of Manchester. But back then, I think each town had a little scene that was very vibrant because it was a scene for that town. You know, it wasn't about travelling. It was about providing music for where you lived.
For the people who lived there, absolutely. So, we'll come to Sisters of Transistors now. You were actually wearing a T-shirt. This is the new Graham Massey kind of outfit. So, well, newish. So talk us through that and the sound and how it came together.
It's. I've been collecting keyboards on eBay for some time, and I've got into the really esoteric 60s organs now, so I collected a load of those. And basically we've got a ladies' organ quartet that we rehearse on Tuesday afternoon.
You have to be careful where you talk about this, Graham, really. Yeah. Okay. Well, 808 State got its name, didn't it, from sort of that kind of piece of musical equipment, didn't it?
And yeah, that was from a drum machine,
Yeah, so it's sort of the electronics.
These are like 60s organs, you know, the sort of thing the Doors used to use, like Vox organs and Farfisa organs. So unless you like organs, you'll hate this group, kind of thing, because it is just a big wall of cheese.
You're not selling it to us, Graham.
It's an enormous wall of cheese.
Excellent. We love the sound of that. We'll have to get somewhere we can now.
Yeah, we're playing on Saturday night at the...
So how will it all work, the Mondo Mancunia, across the 4 days? You kick off tonight, don't you?
Yeah.
And who else is playing?
There's many bands. There's a really good artist called Si Ming, who's a Chinese opera singer from Manchester, who, I mean, that just throws out the wrong message, because she's an electronic artist, basically, makes all the music and writes the songs herself. And she's put together a band with strings and percussion and everything. And then there's Toolshed on tonight, and we also do some little spoken word visual pieces, one on the life of an exotica musician from Hawaii in the 1950s that we've done at a theatre in Manchester before. So we've recreated this 50s cocktail band, and it's almost like a mini play that we're doing. And
that'll happen within the context of Mondo Mancunia, so you've got bands and those little sort of inserts.
Yeah, as well. And we've got films, and there's some other theatre pieces put on by the Shunt people who are very spontaneous, and they can put together anything they want and perform it at Shunt at any point. So it's there's lots of stuff, theatre stuff on as well.
That's going on as well.
I mean, the idea of Shunt is that you go in there and your head just gets mashed. It's really random. It's really random. You wander around. It's a great big space, and you can bump into anything. It's just really stimulating place.
Well, what we'll do is we'll put the link up, I mean, via your MySpace, I think, because it's all up there about Mondo Mancunian and what's happening over the next 4 days. Graham's kind of coming, even though he's in the midst of trying to organise it still. So I think we'll just, hopefully we've just got time to talk about the reissues, because 4 classic 808 State albums came out again via ZTT last month. So we'll hear some music and then we'll get your take on them. And if it's okay with you, we'll go Donkey Doctor.
Yeah.
From 808 State, 80890. Here we go.
Yeah.